I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to our Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to our 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. A little bit louder.
Louder.
We continue on our discourse on the soul, part 5. And you'll notice that I'm always associating the Supreme Lord in this topic. I'm not discussing the soul individually because the soul and the Supreme Lord are eternally bound. And this is the reason we have taken birth in this material universe, to forget God entirely and then to re-establish our relationship with God. That is the purpose of this material universe, to forget God completely and then re-establish our union with the Supreme Lord. We only forget God mentally. Spiritually, we cannot forget nor live without the Supreme Lord. And I'm going to try and prove that scripturally in this discourse. So, like always, I've stated that if you want to know anything about yourself or anything about God, you must find out from God Himself. No speculation, no watered down explanations by saints and sages and enlightened ones. No one is as enlightened as the Supreme Lord, so you have to get your information directly from the Supreme Lord Himself. The purpose for His various incarnations into this material atmosphere is to give you information directly, because man is known to make mistakes, man is known to live in an illusion, man is known for cheating. And you've seen various saints and sages. There are thousands of books. You can see it for yourself. There are hundreds of Bhagavad Gitas around the world. There is one Bhagavad Gita stating Bhagavad Gita as it is. And when you read through the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see as it isn't. So various saints, gurus, they've cheated on the original word of even the Supreme Lord Himself, because the Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord Himself. And if you translate from what was spoken to what is translated, you will see many saints and sages have connived the actual word of the Supreme Lord to suit a particular narrative that they have created. You'll also notice that within Sanatana Dharma, those saints and sages that changed the narrative seem to gather a flock. Have you noticed? Some guru will come into the world and he'll change certain aspects of the Bhagavad Gita, and you'll see suddenly millions are following him. So, to create an illusion, this is the illusion they create by cheating, which is a mistake, which is prone to humans. So, this is all evident if you look around and if you have the intelligence to decipher such chaos. So my function is simple. I'm not to create anything. My job is to simply pick up the Bhagavad Gita like this. Very, very simple. And read to you what God has stated verbatim. Read to you what God has stated verbatim. And the Supreme Lord has stated, and I wanted to start here so that you can understand your relationship with the Supreme Lord, because many of you come to the ashram thinking that you and the Supreme Lord are divorced from each other. So I want to start this, and this has been stated by the Lord himself, chapter 5, verse 7. And I'm quoting this verse: "An everlasting part of myself, having become the bound self in the world of life, attracts the senses, of which the mind is the sixth, and which abide in Prakriti," which translated means nature. Let's read this again, part by part. "An everlasting part of myself." What is the Lord saying? An everlasting part of myself. What is the Lord saying? The Lord, we're discussing the soul. So in the context of the soul, the Supreme Lord himself is making this declaration that the soul is an everlasting part of himself. What the Supreme Lord is declaring, that every soul in this universe is an everlasting part of himself. What does everlasting mean? Never ending or eternal, which means every soul is directly connected to the Supreme Lord forever. Every soul is directly connected to the Supreme Lord eternally. This connection was never broken and can never be broken. And every soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So there is a connection, and also you become an integral part of the Supreme Lord. Are you understanding? So there is no reason to be deluded that the Supreme Lord is not with you. There is no reason to go onto any delusions that the Supreme Lord is not with you. Having become bound, the bound self in the world of life. having become the bound self in the world of life, he is meaning the material universes. The material universes, when does the soul become bound? When it is enveloped in a physical body, it becomes bound. What binds the soul? What is nature comprised of? Material nature, what is its substratum? The before the five elements, at creation. Five? No. The three gunas. The substratum, the core of material nature is the three gunas. And guna means rope. Sanskrit to English, guna means rope. And have you seen the three strands of a rope that intertwines, but each is separate and individual, but it intertwines and becomes three parts of a rope. The three gunas, or the modes, M-O-D-E-S, modes of nature, is the mode of goodness, which is pure, the mode of tamas, which is full of desires, which is full of desires, it is mixed, and the mode of ignorance, which is impure, absolutely impure. It is the opposite of pure. A person in whom the mode of goodness is present, and the person in whom the mode of ignorance is present, the person in whom the mode of ignorance is present will always think opposite of the person who is in a mode of goodness. And you've seen this, you have arguments with people, you cannot convince the ignorant, can you? You can't. I don't know. Abir is laughing. Ashmika, I don't know whether he's laughing at you. I'm not too sure. But and your father-in-law is neutral, so it has to be you, Ashmika. All right. You won't win an argument with a person in a mode of ignorance because you say white. That person, what's the opposite of white? They'll say black. Can you convince somebody that when you are saying white and they are saying black, can there be any meeting ground? You understand? So people in a mode of ignorance are always, it's the mode of unrighteousness. Mode of ignorance is mode of unrighteousness. It's a mode of impurity. And the people in the mode of desire and passion, they are always wanting more. Always wanting more. And desire is infinite. Desire is infinite. So it is necessary when we're discussing the soul to also understand that why the soul reacts when it is encased in material nature, in a material body. So when it is encased in a human body, that human body is given to you when your negative and your positive karmas are almost equal. Then you are awarded a human body. And depending on that almost equal, in that almost equal, if your negative karma is higher, you'll be born in tamogun. If it's mixed, you'll be born in rajogun. And if your positive karma exceeds your negative karma, then you are born in sat. So your karma determines which mode of nature will run your life. Your karma determines which mode of nature will run your life. Tibeshni is busy trying to work out which mode of nature she is in. Alright? She's mostly thinking she's in Sattvagun. Alright? But then she's also thinking of all her nonsense. She's calculating. She's busy calculating. So this is how it operates. This is what the soul acquires. This is what the soul acquires. So the Upanishads, which we're going to go into later, this is just an introduction to the soul. We are going to go into the Upanishads. We're going to go deep into the Upanishads, and I'm going to dissect. I'm going to dissect, and I want you to do, like I've stated, Vasudeva is here. Vasan, in your absence, I noticed that Tibeshni's charbi in Hindi means fat, has one out. Right? She's looking very, very slim, man, thin. And I said I couldn't have found a greater way of Tibeshni paying for her sins. For the past many years she's been with me to send her in excruciating temperatures. And I'll just have one code word for Tibeshni when she transgresses again. And the code word is simply Kimberly. Okay, I updated your father, Tibeshni, so I can go on with my discourse. People were wondering, Vasan, the name Tibeshni hasn't appeared in my discourse for weeks and weeks. Okay? So, I want you to do me a favor, everyone, and even those on social media. I want you to go onto the internet, and I want you to find a comprehensive discourse on the soul. I did this in 2018. I asked Vasan, everyone to go on the internet and look for Narayan. And there was just a page. Today, you can find a comprehensive account on Lord Narayan. Then I also asked you to go onto the internet and look for the Guru principle. There was nothing, just a page. Then we did discourses, numbering Jessica. We went well over 100 on the Guru principle. So similarly, go onto the internet and see how much information you can find on the soul. And then I think I'm going to do another 100 episodes on the soul itself. So my job as a guru is to establish the teachings of Sanatana Dharma in various subject forms around the world. Around the world by giving this type of discourses where there is no information. I am not here to convert the converted. I am not here to convert the converted. My job is, and my title is to bring you from darkness to light. So I am not here to give you information that already exists coherently. My job is to give you information. Although it exists, it's not on hand. Although it exists, it's not on hand. So we'll be going very, very deep with the soul. I'm going to traverse through all written knowledge that is available. And when we finish, then not only you, but the world will have information even long after my death. Press of a button on Google, the soul, and you'll have the whole encyclopedia on the soul, which is not there today. I'm challenging you to go and see if you can find discourse on the soul. So I've done Lord Narayan comprehensively, I've done the Guru principle comprehensively and exclusively through the Sri Narayan Dham, and now I'm doing the third subject, which is the soul. So we're saying, having become the bound self in the world of life, attracts the senses, of which the mind is the sixth, and which abide in material nature. So when the soul conjoins itself with the material body, it attracts these five senses. And the mind is the sixth sense. Okay? And this is important. Next verse. Whatever body its Lord acquires, and from whatever body it departs, it goes on its way, taking these senses as the wind carrying scents from their places. So let's understand this. When the soul leaves one body, when the soul departs from one body, it carries with it these five senses. What are the five senses of it?
Taste, smell, touch.
These senses are in their subtle form. Like how in a USB you can get 1,000 songs, but can you see the 1,000 songs? No. The songs are in the subtle form. Even if you tear up the USB, can you see any song there? You understand? So similarly, we can tear up a human body, you won't be able to see these senses. They are in their subtle form. They are activated by the gross counterparts in their gross form. So the sense of smell will be connected to the nose. The sense of touch will be connected to the skin. The sense of sight will be connected to the eyeball. You understand? But you cannot see these senses. They are in the subtle seed form. And they leave the body at death. They leave the body at death, connected to the soul in a subtle manner, and they go and take their residence in the next body. In the next body. Are you understanding? So your same 6 senses travel with you throughout your existence in this material universe, which lasts for 311 trillion 40 billion years. Same mind. Okay? Same mind has been following you, my boy. Life after life after life. And if you don't change that mindset, even in the body of a dog, you'll still think like Abir. Abir?
Yes,
And maybe you'll come to the ashram and we'll name the dog Abir. You understand? Because the same mind, has been with you since you entered the material universe. And this 311, Ashmika is enjoying it, 311 trillion, 40 billion years, 311, 40 billion years is just one cycle of creation. One cycle of creation. And this 311 trillion 40 billion years experienced at Vaikunt, which is the highest spiritual point, is 1 second. Is 1 second. So Abir, can you see how long you've been shackled with that mind?
1 second.
1 second, depending from where. So I want to send you, Abir Bhai, to that place of 1 second. That's my job. To send you. So science has come on par with Vedanta. So I think about 2017, how many years ago that's just? 7 years. 6, 7 years ago, we had a young professor from Pitt University. She was teaching physics. And I told her, in my lifetime, I am going to see scientists bowing down to the Upanishads. I told her, in my lifetime, I'm going to see scientists. And NASA is one of the greatest scientist community, are they not?
Yes.
Are they bowing down to the Upanishads?
Yes.
In fact, they have all the Upanishads encoded, and everything scientific they do, they test it through the Upanishads. That is why they need Sanskrit for their computer knowledge, because Sanskrit, proven by them, is the most perfect and error-free language. So the Upanishads now is in play in the scientific world, and they have, well, I don't need their proof. My proof is from God. If God say time on earth is 311 trillion 40 billion years and 1 second where I am, I take that as 100% scientific, because God is the supreme scientist. Now they are saying, they are talking of time dilation. You can go on to your Google, type in time dilation and see what the scientists are saying. the slower time goes, the slower time goes, the shorter the time is. So in one dimension it's 1 second, and in the next dimension it is 311 trillion 40 years, because we calculating with the speed of light. And for those of you that do not know, even the speed of light exists in the Vedas. Speed of light exists in the Vedas. Alright? So it is absolutely necessary, when you are understanding the soul, to also understand your surrounding. And your first surrounding is your body, and your body is equipped with a mind and 5 senses. This mind and these 5 senses have been together with you since time immemorial. That is why it is so hard for the Guru. Okay. I'm using every talk wrench I can. Every talk wrench I can. And this is why we have this ebb and flow of devotees, because my job is to catch them by the head and lock with a talk wrench the loose head gasket. But that head gasket has been loose since time immemorial, and it's not easy for the Guru to get the settings right. And whilst I'm playing with the settings, Avir Bhai can get very, very furious and say, this mechanical shop don't work. You understand? This is what happens at this ashram. So the Lord is giving you a description, and his description is absolute. These same scientists 100 years ago were laughing at these descriptions. Which scientists? From the same community. The scientific community were taking the Bhagavad Gita when initially, 200 years ago, as a myth. They were taking Lord Sri Krishna as a myth. But today the city that Lord Sri Krishna sang before he went to Vaikunth is there under the sea at Gujarat. In the palace that he lived, everything that he stated in the Vedas is now being uncovered. So it's no longer a myth, it's an absolute science. The Lord only spoke 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita. But every answer that you have in this universe, I can give you through this 700 verses. Every question that you have. Every question that you have, I can find it in the 700 verses. And you can have 1,000,000 questions, but answered in this 700 verses. All of you understand, because the Lord is absolute. Lord is absolute, and his answers have to be absolute. And today, around the world, humans are endorsing the Lord's words. And again I'm saying, Supreme Lord is not a Hindu. Neither is he a Christian, neither is he a Muslim or any other religious system. If he is, then he can't be the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord cannot be restricted to any religion, any caste, any custom, any tradition. Once you restrict the Supreme Lord, he just becomes the Lord, cannot be supreme, because supreme means is not tied down to any conformity. Not tied down to any conformity. And whilst on this topic, I've been invited, and I'm inviting you, but it is up to you. At this point in time in Bangladesh, the demons, I'm using the word demons, I'm not using the word Muslim. I'm going to explain why. The demons are desecrating the temples in Bangladesh. Reason I didn't use the word Muslims, because in the Quran it is stated that it is the duty of every Muslim to protect worship places of other religions. So if a true Muslim who follows the Quran won't be desecrating the temples, a bona fide Muslim who follows the Quran, his job is to protect those temples. Yes? Then I myself have got involved very deeply with the Muslim community. You remember we did the March for Palestine because we said that the atrocities in Palestine are not religious, they are humanitarian atrocities. Yes? What's happening in Bangladesh at the moment? What you know is happening in Bangladesh. How many people are being tortured and killed? You know? Is that not atrocities against humankind? Yes, so I am going to be attending this protest at Phoenix, not Sastry Park, what's the name of the other place? The same road goes through there.
Whitview.
Not before Woodview. Palmview. So there will be a protest today. Yes, I don't know how many people are attending, but it is. I've been invited, and it's my duty to invite you at 2. So we're going to register our disgust and distaste. And I'm also, Jessica, you contact all our Molanas and tell them that they need to reciprocate the assistance the ashram gave them to come and join us when we're protesting. So the next one will be at the Embassy of Bangladesh. And I think each one of us should sacrifice, especially the movie and all of that, to go there and protest at the
Bangladeshi embassy.
yes, and take whatever action we need to take. So today's protest will be peaceful, and if nothing is done, then we don't know what type of protest will be at Bangladesh. But the problem with Sanatan Dharmis is they are not united. And this is why I did not head this protest when it was initiated. Because instead of looking at the humanitarian transgression in Bangladesh, they will say, no, because Acharya ji is heading it, we won't join him. That is our Hindus, so-called Hindus, or because the Sri Narayan Dham is not heading it, then we're not going to join. They're not going to see the subject matter, they're going to see the personality and our status. Okay? So here we are, I'm inviting you, I'll be there at 2. Again, when we're discussing the soul, it is this type of mindset. I'm saying this mind is the people that are committing these atrocities. You don't think they would have reincarnated from the times of the Mughals? That mind, grooved mind. The mind has a groove. In my time, not in Tibetanese time, everything is on the phone. In my time, there used to be a game with a ball and a central point. And you shake and then that ball will go through a groove, and enter the center. Remember? So this is how the human mind is. It is conditioned. It is conditioned. And when it is conditioned, Aved, I'm happy choosing you as an example today. So say in your next birth you want to be a frog. Let's see how the next birth works. It's also very, very scientific. Alright? So if you come here for Krishna Janmashtami, competing with me in my discourse will be a few hundred frogs outside. They also want to have their discourse. Alright? So they'll be in the pond. And Avir doesn't like frogs. You like frogs, Avir?
No.
You got a dread for frogs. Imagine Avir is about 94 and he's about to pass away and he's thinks of a frog. Right? So the last thought, his last thought and the accumulation of his karmas, how many times he fought with his wife, alright, all that will add up. So if Avir's positive karmas are greater, he'll be born in China selling frogs as a delicacy. Avir, you didn't hear the second part you're making eye. If his karmas are negative, the negative part of his karma is greater, he'll be born as a frog outside this ashram. Every Krishna Janmashtami, he'll come looking for Ashmika, making those sounds. Mating sounds. Which means Ashmika might also become a... Okay. So this is the science of the soul. Last thought and accumulation of karma. If it's negative, you'll become a frog yourself. If it's positive, you'll have a frog business. Okay? But there's no escaping. You're still connected to the frog. Alright? That's the science of the soul, and this is how the soul travels. So this is why we teach you. This is why we continuously teach you to remember the Lord at all times, in all religions, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jew. We teach you to remember the Lord at all times. We teach you to surrender your mind, your body, your soul to the Lord. Because when you condition your mind to only remembering the Lord, at the point of death, who you going to remember? What you going to remember? If you remember the Lord, then your last thought and your accumulation of karma, if you got more positive, you go to the Lord, If you got more negative, you'll be born in a family that is pious. You'll be born in a family that is pious, and in that birth you can complete your journey. In that birth you can complete your journey to the Lord. Can you see the absolute science behind this reasoning? Can you see the science? So another thing to remember about the soul is that it works within a mathematical configuration. A mathematical configuration. Okay? So on my 2018 trip to India, I visited two Ramanujans. Which are the two Ramanujans? One Ramanujan is our Adi Guru, the foremost spiritual master of the 21st century. But some people yesterday thought I am the foremost spiritual master, and they gave me a certificate and a trophy, all right? So I was invited by a women's group of pastors yesterday to a function, and I was given an award for the best spiritual master and activist from the perspective of that organization. Okay, and I think for a group of pastors giving me this award, I am really humbled. In my previous award that I received, I was nominated by a Muslim, right? Again, really humbled. And this award is not for me, it's for the ashram itself and the work that we've been doing for the many, many years. Yeah, so Adi Guru, Lord Ramanuj, should have received this award. So I was on my way to our Adi Gurus, and we had one taxi booked for that area. So I wanted him to take us to all the Ramanujan, meaning our Adi Guru. So he took me to the mathematician Ramanujan's house, and I'm so glad that I was given the opportunity to have visited the room where all the mathematical formulas that exist in this universe came to him through Mother Saraswati, right? Even the black hole, which is discovered recently, he has a formula to calculate the black hole that exists in the universe. So you can Google everything. I'm not saying this as a proud Indian, I'm saying this as a proud scientist. I'm saying this as a proud scientist, and by me being a proud scientist, I'm a proud disciple of the Supreme Lord, who is the Supreme Scientist. So my way of bringing the Supreme Lord to you is through science. Because science has no religion, science has no race, science has no culture, science has no tradition, and science has no custom. Science is science. Can be practiced by all religions, yes, all cultures, all traditions, all customs. So I'm bringing you God through this stream, through the stream of science. And this Ramanujan
was given equations for everything that exists. Scientists have found some and are working on it. Others they have not fathomed yet. And when he was asked, because these formulas should simply pour out through him, and when he was asked, where are you learning this? He said it comes from Mother Saraswati, the mother of knowledge. Mother of knowledge. So every soul is a mathematical equation. Every soul is a mathematical equation. The Supreme Lord Himself is a mathematical equation which is infinite, and the universe are mathematical equations. If somebody could animate creation, and I know it will happen in my lifetime, if somebody takes the process of creation from the eternal constitution, it's there already, and that will be my next topic. I'm going to give a blow-by-blow description of the creation of this particular universe. If that is animated, you will see that if a planet was 1 millisecond off, it would have collided with the next planet. The only reason there was no collision at creation because everyone is determined in a mathematical equilibrium. You understand? 1 millisecond off and there would have been a collision. That is how precise the Supreme Lord is. There are countless planetary systems in this universe. We only know of those that we have identified. They are all functioning in a mathematical equation. Their orbits are in a mathematical equation. The force of gravity is in a mathematical equation. They are hung in space through a mathematical equation. If that is so precise, then you, the soul, Watson, how big are you really? How big are you? Watson? What's your real size?
The size of the soul, 1 million tip of your hair.
1/10,000. If you take your tip of your hair and you divide it into 100,000 parts, and you take one part from the 100,000 parts, that is the tip of your hair, that is 1/10,000. That is how big you are, person, or how small you are. Now look at that size and look at the size of a planet. Look at the size of the universe. If God did not make a mistake in creating all these systems, if God did not make a mistake in creating all these systems, you think God can forget you, Vasan, in this big galaxy of ours? He cannot. You understand? And this is where I want to conclude by going back to my introduction in this discourse, that we are all eternal parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord. You understand? Verse 9, presiding over the ear, the eye, the sense of touch, the tongue, and the nose, and the mind, it experience these object of senses. Who's it? The soul. So right now, the soul is seated in the heart. Then, when Vasan wants to see some nice food, it enters the optical senses. Vasan, then what you see? Some nice food. When Vasan wants to hear something nice, it enters the hearing senses. And when Vasan wants to taste something nice, it enters his sense of taste. The soul takes a journey to these senses that's in the body, not the gross eye, but the sense of the eye which is located behind the eye. All of you understand? So the Lord Himself is stating this and not the Guru. But what happens when the soul looks through the eye, the aperture of the eye? What happens to the soul? It forgets its individuality as a soul and it believes to be the body. Yes? Because it wants what it sees and it gets attached to the outer world through these senses. And this is when the soul forgets its individual self, which has nothing to do with these senses. The soul has absolutely nothing to do with these senses. When I say nothing to do with the senses, it means the soul do not exist because of the senses. The soul exists on its individual capacity. It is through these senses and the mind that the soul forgets its spiritual existence and it starts existing through the body, believing it's the body, and it connects to things that are connected to the body. The car you own does not belong to the soul. It is of the same nature of the body. The elements the car is made of is the same elements your body is made of. Is the same elements your mind is made of. Is the same elements your senses are made of. These are all things of one category, are they not? Body, mind, senses, and everything that exists in this universe, are they not of the same category? And the soul has no relationship with whatever exists in this material universe other than to animate this. So I'll just give you a crude example. Don't be intelligent and tell me 12 volt, 24 volt, all right? So if we take a battery, a Willard's battery, right, and we put it in a motorbike, it will give life to that. When you remove that battery, motorbike is lifeless. You take the same Mullah's battery, you put it in a car, it will give life to the car, the computer system will be activated, and all the functionaries of the car will be activated. Then when you remove the battery, you put it in a truck, same story, you remove it, you put it in a horse and trailer, same story, you put it in an excavator, same story, you put it in a tractor, same story. Has the battery got anything to do with the vehicles that we put it in? It individually, it has its own status quo. Its job is simply to give life. Similarly, the soul's job is simply to give life. It has no attachment. Does the battery cry when you take it from the motorbike and put it into the car? Because no attachment, nothing. It just has two poles, whatever connect on it, it gives it life. You understand? The soul is the same. No attachment to any body. You understanding? It is isolated, it's on its own. It has its own identity, it has its own functionality. Imagine a battery saying, I'm an excavator. All of you understand? So we are going to, there's a lot of interesting understanding if you look at it through this perspective that I'm discussing through, to understand the soul in its entirety. And as I said, it cannot be done in 1 hour. I need a whole encyclopedia to put in this discourse. So, in closing, man has copied nature for all his vehicles. Right? So if you look at a bird, man has copied the bird and made an aeroplane. God has also copied an insect. I don't see it around my pond anymore.
Dragonfly.
Yeah, and made a helicopter. Alright? Man has copied the fish and made a submarine. Man has copied, I don't know, there are so many reptiles and animals like a train. Right? But what the ashram has, we call Vasan, Dana, 1,000 legs, what do you call it? Millipede, yeah, that is a train. So man has invented nothing. Man has invented nothing. He does not have capacity. It's only an illusion when man say he himself has invented. But I'm going to qualify this in later discourses with scriptures. But this is how interesting these discourses can get when we don't only discuss the soul. If you just discuss the soul on its own, it's a very boring subject. But if you discuss the soul and its attributes and its connections to its surrounding, then it zooms in a reality that we are living, doesn't it? Okay. Jai Shri Narayan.
Jai Shri Narayan.